Ladies and gentlemen, I've highlighted in recent videos that the region between 96,000 US dollars and 93,000 US dollars on Bitcoin is what I call the trampoline zone. If we do end up going downwards to that level, if we do end up seeing a short-term correction to that level, I would expect a bounce there. And that's because it's layered with support. It's layered with support from the volume profile. It is literally, as per the visible range volume profile indicator, the area of most support that we can see on the screen right here. It's layered with support coming from this yellow line at the bottom, going backwards from 2021. The all-time highs in 2021 diagonally shot across, actually mark us a very strong support zone around 93,000, held the support back here, resistance over here, support again. And so that 93 to $96,000 level is a hot pocket of bounce, right? Let's just embody that word, a hot pocket of bounce. I know it's a little bit cringe, but it's true. But I suppose if you're looking for a more optimistic scenario, the weekly candle close that's just closed earlier today actually offers one. There is a chance that Bitcoin could bounce from right here. Right? We've seen short-term pullbacks and breakdowns on the Bitcoin chart, on the Ethereum chart as well, but what you'll notice is that these breakdowns have not been crystal clear. We saw a breakdown from an established triangle on Bitcoin. There was no follow through on the volume, and the price didn't follow through at all. In fact, it's got very, very choppy. The exact same thing to be said about Ethereum. We had an ascending wedge formation, a bearish structure on the short term. It broke down, but for the most part, this breakdown has not been very strong at all. In fact, Ethereum seems to be finding strong support, as you can see in the daily chart right there, on a support zone at around $2,518. And I think a lot of this support is coming from weekly chart indicators that not many people are watching right now. Specifically this level at 62 on the weekly chart RSI. So can Bitcoin bounce from this region, and can Bitcoin skyrocket to the upside and continue that macro leg from this region instead of going down first? Let's look at the possibility today. I want you to go ahead and check out the Bitunix Exchange if you get a chance, and if you want to, of course. It's an exchange that I like a lot. I use it personally. I've used it personally as my main exchange for about 6 months now, since the start of the year. It's never been hacked before, and it's been on the market for about 4 years. So it's an exceptionally good track record. A lot of exchanges getting hacked, and an exchange being on the market for 4 years without a single security breach is actually a very, very good sign. It is globally accessible. Some regions might need a VPN, but to my knowledge, there's pretty much global access on this exchange, non-KYC as well, so you don't even need to link your identity to your account. So very accessible, very secure historically speaking, and very low in trading fees, made even lower with my referral link down below. So if you sign up with that link down below in the pinned comment or the description, you'll get to a sign up page, you'll sign up, put in an email address and a password or whatever, and you'll get a 15% trading fee discount attached to your account for life, exclusively with my referral link. So go ahead and do that if you're interested. It helps out the channel, and it helps out yourself as well by getting on a solid exchange, at least in my view. So thanks guys, let's get into the content now. So the breakdowns, the short-term breakdowns we saw on Bitcoin and Ethereum, I very quickly established those breakdowns were not real. In fact, that was pretty much the main topic of yesterday's video. The breakdowns weren't real. They didn't actually lead to follow through. And a lot of people were looking at them and thinking, oh, we're going to see a big crash now, but it wasn't time. The market showed resistance to breaking down there. In other words, the market showed support, but not in any clear sense. Like, there's no clear, obvious support on Bitcoin here. There's no clear, obvious support on Ethereum here. The support comes from elsewhere. And this is where I highlighted the total cryptocurrency market cap chart. I said the total cryptocurrency market cap chart had a neckline of resistance, which it broke to the upside, and now it's flipping that level for support. I highlighted the total 3, which is the altcoin market cap chart, which had a neckline as well. It hasn't broken that neckline yet, but it's come down and flipped a level of support from the volume profile, which was a prior area of resistance. So lots of support coming from the more indirect cryptocurrency charts, which people don't look at often enough in my view. But I also want to mention, and this is the topic of this video, a very large, almost staggeringly large support coming from the BLX. And I'm looking at the BLX, it's not from the BLX, it's from the Bitcoin weekly chart, the RSI specifically. And more specifically, the level at 62 on the RSI. Now, what is that level? That level is the origin of weekly chart RSI price action, right? The first place in which the RSI existed on the weekly chart was at the 62 level. And it's not been perfect, right? It's not been perfect by any means. But from that point forward, every time we have interacted with the 62 level, not every time, of course, there's been fake outs, but a lot of the times that I'm circling on multiple occasions here and vague retests of the vague level, sometimes the weekly close exactly doesn't touch it, but within the candle itself we did, right? A lot of the occasions that we're seeing here of retesting 62 have seen major impacts on the price action. Just taking one example, and I could go through a list of 15 of them if I wanted to. One example is over here. In 2019, breaking below that 62 level literally led to the collapse, which ultimately resulted in the COVID drop. I'm not saying those two things are connected, but the fact of the matter is we had a massive uptick in the price action and it rolled over as soon as 62 was lost. 62 is a very big indicator for very big things to come. Right, 62 was retested for support, resistance, in August on this peak. We got above it, and when we broke below 62, the bear market begun. Okay, 62 was one of the last levels of support that was held in April. We broke below that. We saw the massive collapse in the middle of 2021. We've tested it a few times in the last couple of years, and a lot of those retests have been very valid. Okay, a couple of retests right here showing Bitcoin pinned down for resistance. Broke it to the upside. We started off that big ETF rally, held it for support here, broke down from it, flipped it for resistance, right? Broke up from it, saw a big move to all-time highs, support, broke down from it, saw what we've seen in the last few months, which is a big correction downwards from the current macro range we're in. And right now, what you can see, and the reason I'm making this video, is that we are right on top of that 62 level. Which means, seeing as we're above it, it's offering major support. Now, technically, you can look at this two ways. You can look at it in the pessimistic way, and you can say, oh, we're on the edge of a cliff. If we break down below from it, we're going to crash. That's true. Or at least that has a decent probability of being true. There are fake outs historically. But the way I'm looking at it is that we're on a major support zone that most people aren't looking at, that most people aren't aware of, and this is probably the same reason why Bitcoin's short-term breakdown failed to occur and why Ethereum's short-term breakdown failed to occur. We have a support zone on the weekly chart RSI offering us hidden support and stopping the market from dropping on a local level, and hence bringing forward the possibility of a bounce from this price region and a break of all-time highs from this price region without even needing to go downwards to 96,000 to 93,000. So that is a very optimistic scenario there. And I do see a case for it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm fully convinced by it. I would ultimately not be surprised if we went downwards to 96,000 or 93,000. Anything below that, I think we're in bear market territory, quite frankly. So I think 93,000 is the absolute lowest we can go. But going there wouldn't shock me. However, I do even see a case for the crypto market rising from here. And I think it would actually be a lot safer if we did. Now, I know that seems straightforward and simple. Of course, it'd be safer to start rising from a higher price point than a lower one. But I mean that for a more nuanced reason. I'm not just being a monkey brain, Twitter analyst by saying that. I mean it because right now I see the altcoin market specifically on a prime position for a trigger. Okay, I look at the Ethereum BTC chart. I zoom right in to the daily chart on the Ethereum BTC chart, a chart that measures the strength of Ethereum against Bitcoin and hence basically the strength of the altcoin market against Bitcoin. And I see a triangle formation forming after a rally to the upside. That's a bullish pennant formation. They usually leading to continuations to the upside. That would be an excellent thing to see right now. I look at that in combination with the weekly chart RSI and the Ethereum BTC chart, and I see tests of a multi-year long resistance level as we speak at this price region. All it will take is a little bump to the upside in the market, and we will see altcoins and Ethereum, mostly Ethereum, blow up against Bitcoin. I do believe that to be the case. I look at the total cryptocurrency market cap, and again, I see a neckline of resistance being flipped off for support right now. And I think if Bitcoin went downwards to 93,000 or 96,000, that's another 10% drop or more. I don't think this level would hold. I think we'd see a major setback that could disrupt the entire flow of this chart. I look at the USDT dominance chart, a chart that is reverse correlated to Bitcoin. When this chart goes down, Bitcoin goes up. We want this chart to go down. And I see it in between a major support and resistance zone in between these two red bands, testing that level right now. If the market dropped a little further, we'd break out from that resistance and renew another bounce to the upside, right? That's not what we want to see at this part of the cycle. That would be extremely disruptive to the flow, the money flow of cryptocurrency. It would potentially cause issues down the line if we did approach the $93,000 to $96,000 region. So I do currently not have a strong stance. I don't rarely, feel comfortable saying we're going to 96,000 to 93,000 or we're going to bounce from here. I don't know which one will occur. I'm not very confident in either, but I do know that one of them is the most likely scenario, because the only alternative from that is to break down entirely, and that would mean at the end of the 4-year cycle, and I don't see that as a substantiated argument to make at all. So I am macro bullish. I do think that 1 month from now, we're going to be higher than where we are now. And that will only change in my head if $93,000 is lost. Now, just because I'm macro bullish doesn't mean I think we should be buying here. I actually think this is a pretty bad place to be buying, because I see the macro breakout point up here at 114,000 as a trigger point for buying. And I see the macro lows down here at 96,000 to 93,000 as a trigger point for buying as well. Right now, we're ranging between the two. Making a decision in this price region makes no sense. You need to make decisions in areas of major support, critical to the structure of the bull market, right? So support that literally cannot be lost unless the entire bull market falls apart, support for which you have a clear zone to put a stop loss at, or make buys upon the confirmation of the next macro move. If you buy here, your stop loss is still going to be below the $93,000 region, right? In which case, why would you not just buy when we approach the $93,000 region? In which case you're dramatically reducing your risk, or just buy when the breakout actually occurs, in which case you're only sacrificing a few percent of potential profit for the extra security of getting in at the breakout. So I'm not a financial advisor. You need to do what you need to do with your money. I'm not responsible for it. But in my opinion, any kind of major buys here don't really make sense. Even though I'm macro bullish, I'm saying that. It's nuanced. But as to whether we're going to bounce right here or over here, I think both of them are possible. So although I can't give you a concrete answer, there's an optimistic case and a more pessimistic case to make here, but ultimately both the cases are macro bullish. So all I can really leave you with is let's see what happens. Either scenario would not surprise me too much. Bouncing from right here would be a lot safer in my view and a lot less anxiety provoking, because obviously getting that close at 93,000 to the potential end of a bull market will, lead to sleepless nights. But again, let's see what happens. I'm going to try and not talk too much about Bitcoin in the short term or the medium term or long term really until there is a big development again, because I don't want to repeat myself over and over again. But I did feel the need to bring up this 62 level on the weekly chart RSI. I've mentioned it before, of course, but given that fact that we've retested it just on this last weekly candle close and found support there, I think that's pretty relevant. And I think that does add weight to the case that we could bounce right now. So don't let fear get in the way of the analysis here. I do think that we're in a pretty decent position across the market at the moment, and we have a big potential in my opinion. Thank you for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, comment, subscribe, leave a like, and check out the Bitunix Exchange. Again, it's global non-KYC. Might need a VPN for a few regions, but for the most part, it's globally accessible. It's never been hacked before, and it's been on the market since 2021, so exceptionally good track record. It's very low in trading fees, and with my referral link down below, you can get a 15% trading fee discount permanently attached to your account for life. So very good deal with my link down below. It helps me out as a creator, and it helps you out by getting on a solid exchange for an even lower rate. Every coin you can trade on all major exchanges should be available here for the most part, so check it out if you're interested, guys. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you soon.